Welcome to day 79 of Mastering Astral Projection. This is the boomerang method again today. I wanted to note something that Robert was talking about. He said there was this other method that he uses for projectable double loosening and the OBE exit called the plank. And this is just in one of the daily tips. He says basically you can create a plank about the size of your body laying next to you, and then you rotate it around your body. So it's in a clockwise circle, so I'm not exactly sure. It's not very descriptive, so I'm kind of assuming that the plank kind of moves around you clockwise, um, as if the head of it were like the head of a snake, and it moves around the body that way. But if it's a plank, it's not flexible, so the end swings out. I don't know. Play with it, see if it makes sense to you. It doesn't really make sense to me. Um, he said you can make it really big, though. Swing it out till it hits the walls of the room you're in, or if you're outside, swing it around until it hits the perimeter of the area that you're in. I did something interesting today, so along this journey I've created a couple of my own methods, and one that I came up with today, which was, I'm still not working for me, but I'm feeling the sensation. It's inciting something in me. The way that it works is kind of similar to the plank, actually, in a way. But you imagine that from head to toe, find the center of your body and use that as a pivot point. And I was doing this laying down, so I'm not sure that it would work as well sitting up, but you could experiment with it. But if you're laying down, imagine that you're pivoting. So if, let's say your head is facing north and your feet are facing south, so you would turn clockwise so that your head was facing east and your feet were facing west. And you do this in quarter turns, 90-degree angles. At first it's a little difficult, but once you get the hang of it, you just keep turning in quarter angles or 90-degree angles, so that you're eventually ending up that your head is facing south, feet are facing north. Then you switch again, and your feet are facing west. Head is facing west, feet are facing east, and then you move back into the position that you started in. And it's very interesting, actually. I found that I could rotate one way and not so well the other way. It took more practice to go the other direction, but you do it as if you're sitting in a slot. So you just immediately click into the 90-degree turn, and then you do it again, and it really is a good way to change your orientation. I found it really good for energy body loosening, so you might try it out. The chapter this week of 12, they talk about strength and vitality issues. It's possible to have enough energy to project successfully, but then not be able to move around easily after the exit, or your physical body begins to fall more deeply asleep, and the dream mind becomes active, and that drains your energy of the projected body double. And the solution to this would be to glance at your hands constantly. In fact, it's really the solution to a lot of problems, is just looking at your hands at least every 20 seconds or so. Often they look like they're melting, but that's to be expected. Spending more time raising energy prior to the OBE will help. If you fall and can't glance at your hands, try focusing all your attention and body awareness on feeling your projected double. Deliberate re-entry is the best way to capture shadow memories. Astral plane projections are generally more stable and durable than real time zone projections. So one of the things that he's talking about is if you're finding it really difficult to be in the real time zone, just astral project, and things become much more clear. He said it's a lot more difficult to stay in a cohesive and sensory environment in the real time zone because it constantly shifts, and in fact you can't even look at anything for too long because it'll start to melt. So one of the things to do is to constantly keep your attention varying from one thing to the next, and not get too fixated on any one thing. And one of the things he also talks about is not to let yourself get too curious about sexual contact with others. He said that astral sex problems are more likely to occur in the real time zone and the lower astral planes, and it could quickly end in OBE. But he said that this kind of behavior is really addictive, and it will slow the development of your OBE abilities and lower your potential for reaching higher quality astral levels. So he's saying, like, really avoid astral sex. I know I've been on the forums and a lot of people talk about having astral sex and they make a big deal about it, but I, you know, I know that it can be problematic, and I'll just give you a really quick story. So I have a healing practice, and I don't really advertise it on here, but it's what I do for a living. And I did get a client once who was coming to me because he had a lot of astral sex when he was a teenager, and he was coming to me in his late 40s because 30 years later, he was, or maybe 20 years, 25 years later, he was still being hunted and haunted by a sexual predator from the astral realm, and every time he would try and go back in and astral project, the being, I don't remember what he said it was right there with him all the time, and he was coming to me to figure out how to get rid of it. So you want to be really careful, if you're messing around with a succubi or something. So just be aware of that. And I think that might be all I have for you today. Yeah, I had interesting dreams last night, but they were kind of personal. So anyway, wish me luck next time. We're getting really close to the end of this thing, and I still haven't had an out-of-body experience. So it's getting a little frustrating because I'm putting a lot of effort into it. I mean, a minimum of an hour a day, and sometimes up to 2 hours. So anyway, ciao.